Good afternoon to my viewers on Facebook and YouTube. I want to welcome you to another Principal's Hour with yours truly, Jermaine Harris, Principal for the Kellett High School. I must first apologize for the late start. We had some technical issues along with my producer, Mr. Chambers, but indeed we are happy to be on live, and I hope that you're hearing me wherever you are. We want to thank you for taking time out each Sunday afternoon at this time to tune into your principal as we bring to you some activities as it relates to the operations at Kellett High School. Last week, I informed you that we would be doing some consultations so that we can make an informed decision as it relates to the phased reopening of face-to-face classes. And I will use the second segment of my broadcast to bring you up to speed as it relates to the latest developments and the grades that will be coming tomorrow for face-to-face classes. But the first part of my broadcast, I have a special invited guest, and she will join me in studio shortly. Just reminding you that we are celebrating Reggae Month. We are also celebrating Black History Month, and tomorrow will be the start of Safer Sex Week. So in observing these events, we decided to bring someone with the wealth of information who will assist us with talking about child care and protection, as well as support for our young people. Since late last year, 2 students from Kellett High School would have went missing. And as a school, we are very much concerned that our students need the proper guidance, especially during this pandemic. And therefore, my guest today was born in St. Thomas, but she grew up in St. James, Clarendon. She attended James Sale Primary, Claude McKay High, and Edwin Allen High Schools. She joined the JCF on September the 12th, 1988. That's 33 years ago. And incidentally, the same day Gilbert struck Jamaica. She served at many divisions, to include Head of Legal Affairs, Legal Officer at the Bureau of Special Investigation, former Commanding Officer at the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse, CISOCA, former Head of the Court of Inquiry, and is currently one of 2 sitting presidents at the Era 4 and 5 Court of Inquiry for the disciplinary panel. She's a superintendent of police. She's also the holder of a Bachelor of Arts degree in English, a Bachelor of Laws degree, and a master's degree in National Security and Strategic Management, all from the University of the West Indies. She is the holder of a certificate in legal education from the Norman Manley Law School and is a practicing attorney at law. She also lectures 6th form in law at St. George's College. She is also a minister of the gospel and director of the youth department at her church. In 2013, she was awarded the Prime Minister's Medal of Appreciation for service to Jamaica. She has received numerous commendations for her work at CISOCA. She was also a recent guest on Profile. She is also an author. She's married and have 1 son. But despite all these accomplishments, she has remained humble and is always willing to provide words of encouragement, especially to young people. And that is why this afternoon I've decided to bring on Gladys Brown Ellis, and she will join me shortly in studio. Mr. Chambers. So we're just waiting on Mr. Chambers to bring my guest on. And I'm sure that you will be so enthralled to listen to her and the wealth of information. All right, so we're just having a little glitch there. We are waiting on Mrs. Gladys Brown Ellis to join me. Mr. Chambers is trying to get her into the studio. I'm going to ask that we be a little bit patient as she seeks to join me live. I want you to, and as usual, you can always ask your questions. You can ask your questions of her, as well as you can ask your questions about what is happening at Kellis High School. All right, so my viewers, I want to sincerely apologize. We're trying to sort out some technical difficulties. We're trying to get our guest into the broadcast studio. Mr. Chambers, any such luck? Are we able to get her on? All right, she's coming up. All right. Good afternoon, Gladys Brown Ellis. Happy to have you joining me. Unmute your mic. I think your mic is muted. Just unmute it.
Go. Good
Okay.
afternoon
Yes,
to
we are
you,
hearing you.
Mr. Harris, and your listeners.
All right. So you're streaming worldwide. You're live on Facebook all over the world. You're live on YouTube. And indeed, we are happy to have you joining us as part of the Kellis High School family.
Thank you so much for your welcome, and good afternoon to all your viewers and listeners.
All right, good. So let us get straight into our discussion. Just give us a brief overview of your journey to date, um, Mrs. Brown Ellis.
Well, I am one of those persons who you would refer to as a high school dropout, in that I attended Edwin Allen High many years ago and made it to grade 9, but was not able to stay long in grade 10 because I got pregnant at an early age. And so the fact that a young girl in those days, in the 1980s, early 1980s, would have gotten pregnant whilst at school would have been a huge setback for the ordinary girl. But even then, I realized that I was no ordinary girl. I was born for a purpose. And the fact that I got pregnant, I did not allow that to stop me. I realized I had potentials to go far. And so after having my child, I went back to evening classes. The good thing for me, though, was that I was an avid reader. And that would have set the background for my later development and accomplishments. So after having my child, I would have gone back to evening class to the art program. And the evening classes would have been at the same Edwin Allen High. And I would have accomplished a few subjects because of the fact that I did not have the financial backing to take me where I wanted to go. In years to come, in 1988, I would have joined the Jamaica Constabulary Force with the 2 subjects that I was able to afford. Among the
Okay.
2 would have been English language. The long and short of it is that upon joining the force, 5 years after, I applied. I continue my evening classes and would have accomplished uh, the, 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 the level of education that would have
Yes.
caused me to apply to the University of the West Indies. So I did some
Okay.
A levels, did some O levels, and I went on to the university, applied to do law, did not get through. But I didn't allow the fact that I did not get my first choice to stop me.
Yes.
I
You are
accepted what was
persistent.
on the table, which was
Good.
to do a degree in English. And I did just that. And basically, prior to graduation, I applied to do law. And I did so well in my first degree. I got an upper second class honors degree, and that
Yes.
allowed me to matriculate into law, where I would
Okay.
have completed the
Interesting.
bachelor's of law, did my stint in Barbados at the time, came back to Jamaica, went to Norman Mandela Law School, completed the CLA there, was called to the bar, and eventually become one of Jamaica's best lawyer in my
Okay.
estimation.
Indeed. You see, my viewers, on Principles Hour, you
Huh?
can bet that I will definitely get some top guests that will wow you. And I want my students who are listening, you realize where she started out, the fact that she got pregnant in school and she's not afraid to tell the world that she got a bump in the road, but she did not allow that to cause her to not pursue her dreams. All right, so Gladys, if you may, if I could call you Gladys, is that okay
No
for me to
problem,
call
Mr.
you
Hyde.
Gladys? All right, good. So how does the Child Care and Protection Act helps our children? Because one of the reasons why I decided to bring you on is because I was told, based on my research, that you did very well at Sisoko. And because our children, there are some children at Kelly's High School who need the guidance and support. So how can this act protect our children?
Well, the act would have been designed to protect our children in many ways. And
Yes.
it is not just that act, but the Sexual Offences Act of 2009, I believe, that would have been coined specifically to protect our children because of the many abuse that would have been meted out to children. The legislators saw it fit to put together this act
Yes.
to hold parents and guardians responsible and adults for whatever happened to our children. Yes, the major things that this act would have provided or stipulated, is the harsh punishment against persons who sexually abuse our children, physically abuse them, and emotionally abuse them. So you'd see in Section 9 where provisions would have been provided for um, for the children to be protected and the sanctions against those who violate, those who neglect, those who physically abuse, sexually and emotionally abuse our children.
Okay, good. So, my viewers who are joining, as usual, you can send your questions. I hope you're hearing us loud and clear. We're speaking to Superintendent and Attorney at Law, Gladys Brown Ellis, and she's speaking to us about child care and protection as well as support. So, in a nutshell, the Act would have been brought into play to provide some form of protection against our children who have been abused and basically taken advantage of.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. And it also provides for those who are in authority, such as doctors, nurses, guardians, teachers, principals,
Yes.
who would have violated their obligations, so to speak, their reporting obligation, you know,
Okay.
in relation to things that they would become aware of happening to a child and does nothing about it or did not do enough about it. So by now, to put it in a nutshell,
Yes.
parents, teachers, guardians, nurses, doctors, our counselors in school, they all have an obligation to report to the police and to the CDA and its multi agencies anything that they know of that is happening to a child that is considered to be cruel to the child, right?
Okay.
And if you in as a reporting person refrain from doing that or say I'm not going to do it in our boy, me no business
Yes.
nobody business, me I see I'm blind, me not do that and I'm not doing this, or it's not my job to do,
There are serious
then
consequences.
you are going to be held liable where you will be charged over $500,000 or a stint in prison for refusing or not carrying out your reporting obligation. So it is important for parents to understand that when things are happening with your children, you have a duty to make it known, report it to the police or to the multi agencies, which would include the CDA and other and OCR.
Okay, good. I was coming to that point. Interesting that you make mention of that, because I remember one training that I had, that was a major bone of contention in terms of if you suspect, even if you don't have the information, the factual information that a child is been abused, once you suspect it, you still have an obligation to report to these agencies. Is that so?
Yes, because it's best to err on the side of caution.
Yes.
And rather, as we say in Jamaica, if me did know. So we are in a society where we should not take anything for granted. And we have a habit of telling our children that they're lying when we believe that they are not saying what we want them to do, especially when it concerns relationship problems where somebody might be having a relationship with a man who is not the child's father, and that child is reporting something about the man, and you are of the view that the child is causing a problem between you and your man. So you refuse to accept what the child is saying. And
Yes.
by the end of the day, you then realize it is too late to do what should have been done from earlier because of your refusal to accept the child's side of the story and what the child is telling you. It's very important that we listen to our children and we investigate both physically and psychologically.
Okay, good. At least I was coming to that question, but you would have segued into same, where the level of parenting among our fathers and mothers in Jamaica have been very questioning. And therefore, I want you to outline some tips that parents, apart from listening to your children, but what are some tips that our parents can incorporate in this time, especially during the pandemic, in terms of seeing to it that our children are well protected, based on the fact that we have been hearing so many um, children leaving home without knowledge of their parents. What are some tips can you give to our parents?
In the first place, it is important that the parents and the child have a communicating kind of relationship where the parents are able to listen to whatever the children are saying. Develop that relationship where your child can come to you and speak, explain anything that he or she has been experiencing. And I want parents to understand that it's not just your girls that you watch. The boys are also equally important in more ways than one, because predators are not just after our girls, they're after our boys. I want you to also speak to your children and let them understand that it is not just strangers that they should be aware of, but also family members. Because in my experience, I would have come across the fact that the persons who violate our children and betray our trust more than anybody
Yes,
else are family members, the cousins, the people who we trust, the policemen, the soldiers, the pastors, the neighbors, the family member who we believe would be the guardians of our children are the bastion of protection. They are the ones who we are now recognizing are in many instances the ones who are abusing our children sexually, physically, and psychologically. And so parents now need to create that kind of communication where they can trust their children and ask their children to trust them. When they are going on the road, the parents need to find a way to communicate with them. Most persons would give their children, depending on the age group, a phone. It is important that the children say to mommy what taxi they are going on or which bus they are going to be taking just before getting on that bus. Parents need to develop this kind of relationship where their children will tell them where they are and where they are going. And the
good.
party thing right now is out. So parents are being um, guided not to send their children to no form of parties right now because parties are illegal. And because of the COVID and the old directive from the government, children are to stay home. Find some kind of activity at home, some games, some reading, watch a movie together so that the children don't become bored and feel like they need to go on the road. It is important that now is the time that the family unite.
Good. Well said. Well said. I hope my parents and students are listening. You see, we have to do much more in terms of protecting our children. And we at Kellis High School, we are using this forum to enlighten our parents and our students as to ways in which they can be protected. On a note, I just want to inform our viewers that CDA has been evolved into the CPFSA, that's the Child Protection and Family Services Agency. So you can
Yes.
take a note of that. Yes. So we just want to give you options because there are times when I know that you're struggling parents to manage your children, and many times you would have reached out to the school and our guidance counselors. And here we have brought on somebody with a wealth of information. I hope that you are taking notes. So Gladys, what approach should parents? There are some children who are quote unquote uncontrollable juvenile. What advice would you give to parents concerning those children?
In many instances, based on my experience, we would have come across parents who are no longer able to deal with their children, to keep them at home, to keep them out of trouble. And so they would have parents in those situations can go to the nearest police station in their area, right? Or go to the CDA for them to intervene before
Yeah.
anything happens to the child. It is important that they seek external assistance because in many instances they will be tempted to exert physical um, abuse on these children.
Yes, yes.
So so
Because
in
they
the
see them
police,
as bad children. So
yes,
they
they
would
will see
take
them as bad children who
yes,
only beating can cure. And we have
yes,
found out that in instances like this, beating a child with a hose or a piece of stick or burning them with iron or pouring oil or hot water on them will get you, the parents, into trouble. And is no way to treat a child. It will not
yes,
cure the problem. And in many instances, the parents will not be able to solve this problem. So it is important that the CDA be brought in and the police in the form of Sisoko. Sisoko has an arm where with the multi-agency approach, those kind of behavioral patterns are taken into consideration and they are treated as a great uh, uh, areas for concern. In
yes,
days gone by, they used to take the children into their homes and keep them under government care. But I have come to realize of late that they are now reconsidering having children declared as unmanageable
uncontrollable.
or in need of
Okay,
care and protection. And
yes,
the approach is now being different. I think they are currently working on that.
yes. So they're
But I
providing
want to
more
say to
counseling, I believe. I think there's a
yes,
diversion. There's a diversion
yes,
program that I believe that
yes,
is currently being rolled out, where they're trying to
yes,
get these students to be counseled, but rather than taking
right,
them into state care.
right, because they have recognized that the state care makes things worse. Because the truth of the matter is that some of these girls go into state care and they meet upon other girls, and rather than to get help, they become even worse.
Yes,
And the confinement, being taken away from your family and being put into state care, kind of blow the minds of these young girls or young
okay,
men. So
yes,
finding the help that they need, getting psychiatrists to look into the problems that they're facing is a more approachable way of dealing with the problems. And so they have
rather than
reconsidered
punitive.
and are now dealing
Yes,
with the directly with the problem and not with the child, so to
okay,
speak, if you understand what I'm saying.
yes, definitely. All right, so my
Right.
viewers, just reminding you that I am speaking to Superintendent and Attorney at Law Gladys Brown Ellis. We have few more minutes with her, and I hope that you are taking notes. Whatever questions you may have of her, you can write them down, and then later you can send those questions. And I hope that she will try to provide answers. If not, I'm sure that she will send whatever responses that she would have had. So tomorrow is the start of Safer Sex Week, and I'm not going to allow you to go without giving my students some tips in terms of what can they do. It's coming up to Valentine's weekend, and a lot of energies and a lot of thought may be putting in play in terms of planning. But we know that children should take different approach from adults. So, what is your view? What your tips you'd leave to my children or my students here at Kelly High School? We Safer Sex Week.
Right. I want to tell children that it is natural to feel that you are in need of sex. The body is created by God for you to feel that way. But sex is not for children, really. Again, the age of consent is 16. And I want to remind my children that, listen, at this time, education is the way to go. It is the key. The abstaining from sex right now is the major thing to do. Some may not be able to abstain, and so it is important that a kind of any form of birth control that you can get your hands on, whether it is a condom or the pill, should be used. But I would want to encourage my girls and boys to abstain. In particular, my girls, sex not done, and you can done it. Sex has mashed up so many young girls and parked them like old cars. And I don't want you, my girls, my young children, to be treated in that way, to be used and abused and then refused. I want you to understand that your body is the temple of the Lord. This body that housed your mind and your heart is the most important thing that you have. And it is important that you take care of this body, because this is the body that will take you through life, that will take you where you want to go, that will help you to realize your potential and to self actualize. So focus on protecting your body. Your body is valuable. You are valuable. And so you don't want no boy dragging you all around, some worthless man who don't care about you, some older men who have their wives and who want to use you and abuse you because you're young and beautiful. Yes, you are beautiful. Yes, you know that you are beautiful, young girls. Come on now. So you don't need any big man to come and buy you an ice cream or give you some money and help you to go to school. Whatever your parents are providing for you is enough. It may not look like it is enough right now, but later
Yeah.
down the road, it will be enough. Your mother and your father who are guiding you and telling you to abstain, they are not being miserable. They are being protective. And down the road, you are going to understand why they are protecting you so much. It's because they love you. They see the potential in you, young girls and young boys, and they want to ensure that you stay on track and you're not derailed like some old train. So I want you to keep that in mind, to know that you're valuable and allow people to respect you. But for you to be respected by others, you must respect yourself first. Virginity is very important. It's still aware. Now make
All
nobody tell us a
right.
virginity now aware. And all who don't have a boyfriend now say nothing. So fine if you don't have a boyfriend. It is fine. You are in a better place than those who have boyfriends who are boxing them and kicking them and treating them like a football. Nobody should be allowed to treat you like that. And if you are treated like that, it's because you are allowing it to happen. And I don't want nobody who is listening to me to allow yourself to be treated like you're a football. You're not a tomato either for nobody to come and feel you up and touch you up. The Sexual Offences Act speaks about sexual grooming. So gone are the days when a man could touch you on your private part, touch you on your breast, touch you on your butt, and you say, and now please leave me alone now. It is now an offense, and it's called sexual touching parents. So speak to your girls. Let them understand how beautiful they are. Value them. Show them that you love them and remind them that they are beautiful and that they are the future of tomorrow and that they indeed are your prize, both your boys and your girls, because I want you to understand that the boys are out there too and that they are predators who are going after your boys too in many instances, even more than your girls. So balance
Well,
the scale with your children and be there for them. You might be poor, but guess what? Poor is not a crime.
Okay, well said. I see you're warming up, Gladys. I see you're warming up, and I know that I would have asked you to speak for 30 minutes. We're almost there. But I just want to say to my viewers the theme for Safer Sex Week: sex can wait. Why the East? Sex can
Exactly.
wait. Why the
By
East?
the
So you
A's.
would have
Look,
heard from my guest that it is best to not be a part of the crowd, because I know that peer pressure will be coming on. There are persons who will be telling you that, boy, if you not do this, you're not a human being or you're not a part of their clique. But it's better to
yes,
stay by yourself and achieve your educational goals so that you can move on and become superintendent or attorney at law one day, just like my guest. My final
definitely.
question to you, where I want you to wrap up. I know that human trafficking is a big deal in Jamaica now, and many of the children, because they're at home, they are target at this time, and the fact that they're on the internet may also lure them to perpetrators. So you could just give us a little synopsis of what is this human trafficking and some tips that parents can also use as we bring down the curtain on this interview with Gladys Brown Ellis, superintendent and attorney at law. So human trafficking, what could you leave with us about human trafficking?
Yes. It is in a simple form a situation where young people, old people,
Yes.
60-year-old. So it's not just young children, but I'm basically, maybe because we're talking to children
Yeah,
right
focus on
now,
the
are
children. Yes,
lured.
indeed.
The children in particular who are on the internet are lured into thinking that the the person on the other side is offering them a better way of life, whether it's to get a job, a summer job, or children who are unhappy at home feel that they are not being treated properly, and they are being coerced by somebody online to come to a better situation. And in many instances, it is to run away from home or to leave home without your knowledge of your parents, to meet up with somebody who keeps telling you that he loves you or she loves you, with the intention to take you away against your will and to keep you in a place where nobody can be in touch with you except them. In many
Yes.
instances, these girls are abused sexually and physically and exploited. Some of them are used to carry out manual labor and to work in strip clubs or to do other tasks. Some of them are even taken abroad.
Yes.
Some are taken away and their organs removed, because we have cases where people would have been killed and their organs taken away for whatever purpose. So
Yes.
it varies, and there are so many reasons why human traffic exists. But it is always the children who are vulnerable, children who
Yes.
are searching for love, children who feel dissatisfied with what is happening at home and are surfing the net, seeking friends and seeking people who they can confide in. So parents need to look out for their children when they start to lock themselves away for extended period of time. They are not communicating anymore. They seem shut off from the home and those in the home, and are keeping things to themselves. Those are signs that something is not right with the child, and it is important that help is sought or you, the parents, intervene.
Okay. Well
The,
said.
the
Well said.
truth of the matter, the truth
Yes.
of the matter is that many of our children are more apt on the internet than we are. They are more skillful and
Yes. And
technologically
more.
inclined than some of us, the
Yes.
parents. So sometimes we try to see what they're doing, and they will reduce it and go on to something else to trick
Yes.
us into thinking that whatever they are doing is just the homework. But I want parents to be vigilant, because the society that we live in now is a very dangerous one, and our children are smart.
Yes.
So let us not underestimate their intelligence, and let us watch over them and pray over them.
All right. Well said. Well said. Well said. So, vigilance, parents, you have to be vigilant. You have to be your son and your daughter best friend. Know what is happening in their world, and I'm sure that we won't be a part of the statistics here at Kelly's High School. I want to thank you, Gladys. It was well appreciated by the entire Kelly's High School family. But just before you go, I want to ask my viewers who are online, you could send any question that was not answered, or maybe you have a comment for Gladys Brown Ellis, Superintendent of Police, as well as a practicing attorney at law. So, Mr. Chambers, I don't know if there are any questions or any comments from my viewers before I allow my guests to go. If there are any, you could put them on screen right now. So, my viewers, you can always send me a question now. Just a comment there from Kemisha. Sex can wait. Education is the key. Well said, Kemisha. And I want to remind my students that education is still a powerful weapon to take you out of poverty. My story would have been on YouTube. I think it got 1.4 million viewers right now, where I started from in terms of my educational journey, and to date, I am now the principal at Kelly's High School. So you too can move up the ranks. Powerful program, Mr. Harrison team. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Delrick. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions at this time. It seems like your presentation was so comprehensive that it would have covered all the areas that we intended to cover. Very interesting topic. All right, so parents, I hope that you would have been taking notes, and you will implement these things, because the government cannot do it alone. The police cannot do it alone. I think the police is about 14,000 strong. They will not be able to police everyone, but each child has a parent, has a mother, has a father, has a grandmother, has relatives. Just joined, but a little I caught was late. Let us not be afraid to educate our children about sex, though. All right, so
and if I might just add before I
sure,
go,
sure. I'll give you the parting word.
right. If I may just say that parents, many of us know that there are things happening with not only our children, but our neighbors' children. And many persons are still of the view that see no evil, hear no evil. But I'm beseeching you, if you know that a child is being abused, whether sexually or physically or otherwise, say something, call 119, call Crime Stop, report it to Sisoka. And if you call 119, nobody needs to know who you are. Just let them know where this act is taking place and report it. Again, we have some family ram, some people in our family who are related to us, who are interfering with our children, and we are not doing anything about it. Yes? It doesn't matter whether we were abused as children. We cannot allow this to happen to our children, and we hide it because it's a family member is doing it. I beseech you to report the uncles, report the cousins, report the brothers who are troubling your boys and troubling your girl, in sexually assaulting your boys and your girls' parents. It is not a curse in the family. It must be broken. It should not be hidden under the carpet any longer. Speak up, man.
All right.
Break out of your silence.
I can
because
see the spirit coming in as well.
Our adults now, many of our adults now are carrying scars because parents were silent. Break your silence and report it now.
You see, like I need to write a petition for you to move back to Sissoko. The passion and the whole energy and enthusiasm about protecting our children is still coming out there. But I'm very much happy to have you. There's a question here from Abriana. Would you suggest a outreach or club in communities and schools to help children and teens?
I'll call you back.
Sorry. All right. So there's a question there. Are you able to see the question? Gladys, on the screen, so let me read it. Would you suggest an outreach or club?
I'm still on the show. Let me call you back, please. Let me call you back. Call you back.
All right. You see, my viewers, she's also on the job. You know, as a superintendent, should be getting her call. So yeah, we do understand. So the question on the screen is, would you suggest an outreach or club in communities and schools to help children and teens who are stated to be hard to deal with. So those uncontrollable children, the question here is, would you suggest outreach clubs in schools to help these children? That's the question. Did you get that, Gladys? I think this person is asking if you would suggest having clubs in communities to help these troubled children. All right, we're trying to, not sure if Gladys is hearing us. Are you still hearing us, my guest? She got a call. I don't know if it went on mute. Mr. Chambers, stay down that question a little bit. Let me see if her phone, if her device is on mute. All right, not sure what's happening. Seems like we lost her. She got a call. I don't know if she will rejoin us, but I believe this was a very engaging and educating session. And we believe that we should do all that we can to prepare you with the information and to arm you with the information to assist you with your children. I know it's not easy. When we were born, we did not get a manual that will guide us how to take care of children, but we have to have support groups. And one such group is your school, and we continue to provide you with those information that will assist you. So I want to thank my guest again, wholeheartedly, for taking the time out. I know that she's busy. Being a superintendent as well as a lawyer can always be a very difficult and overwhelming time, but she would have taken the time out to be on Principal's Hour this afternoon, and we want to thank her immensely, and Kellett's High School owe her a debt of gratitude. Thanks again, Mrs. Brown Ellis. All right, so the rest of the program we'll be using for the decision that we would have taken last week. So we had a number of consultation meetings, including the Ministry of Education, that's Region 7, the region that Kellett is a part of. So we had consultation with them. We also consulted with the members of staff, the teaching staff, the non-teaching staff. We also consulted with parents and students. That's last Thursday. And the decision, the consensus by all, is that we should err on the side of caution, so that we'll be able to manage. All right, I understand that she's back on. I'm just gonna allow her to come on, and so we can wrap up. Okay, she gone. She's off. All right, my producer is telling me that she's off. All right, so I will officially send her that thank you, but we're definitely happy that she could join us. So effective tomorrow, I know that several parents have been calling me to find out what will happen tomorrow. So tomorrow, only grades 11, 12, and 13 should report for face-to-face classes. So that is grades 11, 12, and 13. Based on the consultations that I would have had over the week, the feedback is that we should not take in too many children all at once. And the main reason for that is that there are many schools that have been given the go-ahead to open, and they have to close because of positive COVID cases. So we want to take small bites, and then we assess each week to see if we can bring in another class or another grade. So starting tomorrow, we'll be only taking in a small number, grades 11, 12, and 13. All right, my guest is back on. She would have got cut off somehow, so I'm going to officially do the vote of thanks and give her a good send-off for being with us this afternoon. So thanks for joining me back, Gladys Brown Ellis.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there are not any questions, just one that asks about the club. So you could respond to that and then we close off this segment. There was a viewer would have asked that if clubs in the communities and school, do you think those institutions would assist troubled children and troubled teens if you have clubs in society and clubs in schools? What's your feedback?
Well, it depends on the nature of the club and the persons who would be delivering the guidance. Because we used to have police youth clubs in communities, in most communities long ago. And if we can revive or reintroduce those clubs, I'm sure that they will be able to include the multi-agencies and Sisoko and have persons from those entities coming in to guide and to motivate and to monitor troubled teens
Yes.
and to speak to them and update them on what is happening and to propel them in the direction where they can, help themselves and be safe.
Okay, good. So my viewer, in essence, what my guest is saying is that nothing is wrong with club, but it has to be managed properly because there are some persons who may form club for ulterior motives, and we don't want our children to be harmed in any way. All right, so I want to thank you, my guest. It was a short invitation, but because you really passionate, you have that passion for helping children and to guide our nation's children into a better future. I want to thank you on behalf of the Board of Management and teaching and non-teaching staff, parents, students, the entire stakeholders of Kellis High School. I want to thank you for coming on this evening and to share your wealth of information. 33 years in the JCF, and we want to wish you all the best. Please keep safe, and we will do this again. When it's face to face, don't know when it's that, we may just give you another invitation to come and speak to our children. We hope that we will have the opportunity to converse with you again. So thanks, my guest, Gladys Brown Ellis, and take care until we meet again.
It was my pleasure. And have a
All
good
right.
evening, all of you, all viewers, and yourself, sir. Thanks
All
for the
right. Thanks much.
invitation.
Thank you. All right, so there you had it. My guest, Mrs. Gladys Brown Ellis, Superintendent of Police and practicing attorney at law. She gave us a wealth of information, and I hope that my parents, my students, stakeholders all would have been enlightened. All right, so continue with the phased reopening of school. As I said earlier, we're going to focus on 6 classes. That's 4 classes in grade 11, and we have lower 6 and upper 6 form. Those students will come in effective tomorrow. So after week 1, we will assess to see what would have happened throughout that week, and then we will meet and consult and decide whether we can increase the number or we continue having those students until the COVID. If you have been following the news, there has been an uptick. Matter of fact, I believe Friday or Saturday was the highest number of confirmed COVID cases. So COVID is not a joke, and persons are taking it lightly, and therefore we have been seeing a surge in the number of positive COVID cases. So we don't want to put our children and our staff at risk, but we believe it was important to try and get out our CSEC and CAPE students and our City and Guild students to come out and get additional face-to-face preparation so that we can give them a good chance at doing well at the exams coming up in the summer, June or July, thereabout. So let me just repeat, only grades 11, 12, and 13 should report for school tomorrow. I would have had a meeting with the parents and students on Thursday. I would have informed you that the timetable, we'll be using the COVID-19 timetable. They are familiar with that timetable. So students will come to school at varying hours. We have put in a lot of work. We have spent a lot of money to get the plant ready. We have put in a lot of sanitization um, instrument. We have also put in a lot of hand wash stations. We have also do a lot of work as it relates to cleaning of the campus, and I believe we are ready to welcome your children to Kelly High School once more. We can't do it for everyone. I know that there are some parents who are saying our children are not able to get online. We know the concerns, but we still have to be very cautious because we don't want to open school and then we have to close. So, children, please observe all the COVID-19 protocols. We are encouraging students who live close to school to walk to school if that is possible. If you don't have to take a taxi, please walk to school. Gone are the days when children used to walk to school as far as Brandon Hill, Crofts Hill, Comsey, Jericho, Pedro, Redford. Students used to walk. And because school won't be starting at 8 some mornings, you will be able to walk and to reach school on time. But if you have to take a taxi, please be careful. Wear your mask. Do not take a taxi that is too crowded because we don't want you to put yourself at risk and to put our um, staff and students at risk. So when you come to the gate, you will be checked, your temperature will be checked. And if your temperature is 35.7 degrees Celsius or less, we will allow you onto the compound where you'll be sanitized or you'll have your hand washed at the gate. Now, if your temperature is above 37.5, we will have you outside of the campus and then we will allow you to wait for a period. Then the nurse will recheck you. And if your temperature comes down to the 37.5, based on the Ministry of Health recommended temperature, then you will be allowed to go inside after you sanitize and wash your hands and provided that you have your mask. Now, if your temperature is above that, we will not allow you on the campus because we have to make sure that we follow all the Ministry of Health protocols. So it is full speed ahead. Come tomorrow for grades 11, 12, and 13. We're also asking parents to see to it that students develop that frame of mind. We know that the psychological aspect of their lives right now is not so, up there because they have to be managing all the issues around them. So to get into the frame of mind of school may be challenging. So we're asking parents to help us to encourage and to motivate and to see how best they can get into that frame of mind for school. Help them to take the necessary materials so they don't have to borrow materials from other students, which will increase the possibility of any virus being spread. And if someone have the virus, they will spread it to someone. Tell them to bring their own materials, their pens, their pencil, ruler, sharpener, books, everything so that they can protect themselves. And encourage them to continue to wear the mask. We still are encouraged by the Ministry of Health, even though there are a lot of conspiracy theorists that there is no COVID and wearing the mask will not protect you. We still have to go by the expert. And the experts are saying that wearing the mask is the best way of protecting ourselves against the virus. So that is it for reopening of school. I will take your questions as it relates to the phase reopening. I know that I would have met with my parents on different platforms last week, but officially I want to say on principles over that Kelly High School, yes, will be reopened for face-to-face classes, but only for 6 classes, 4 in grade 11 and lower and upper 6th form. Yes, so that is it for face-to-face. I'll take your questions. I know you have some questions. Let me see if I can answer. Sir, when will grade 10 going back to school? Well, that is to be determined. As I said earlier, each week, at the end of each week, we will meet. We have a reopening committee. That committee will meet. We will look at the what would have happened throughout that week and to see how well we would have managed to keep everyone safe. And if the recommendation is put forward to bring in other grades, I believe the next grade that we will focus on is grade 10. You will get further information when that will be, because grade 10 is preparing for CXC exams as well. They may not sit the exam this year, but CXC is usually a 2-year program. So we want to get in the grade 10, the grades 10 as quickly as possible. So in our deliberation, we will consider grade 10, but for now, I'm not able to tell you the exact time when grade 10 will come in, all right? Any other question, face-to-face or anything that my presenter would have mentioned? I'll give you the opportunity now to field your questions or to give us your suggestions or encouragement, whatever it may be. Joan Morgan, good evening to the staff of Kelly's High School. Good evening, Joan, and thanks for joining. I know we started late, but I am happy that we were able to bring it live to you, all right? All right, any more questions there, Mr. Chambers? We have a video that I'm trying to see if I can able to play for my viewers. So in the meantime, you can send your questions. See if I can find that. As we celebrate Safer Sex Week starting tomorrow. There's a question there, just a moment. Will they be able to go by the road to buy their lunch? Tavia, no. We want to keep the students under a controlled environment. So therefore, we don't want them to leave the campus to go and get lunch. So either they are going to take their lunches or they will have to purchase lunch at school. All right, Tavia? And I think you will understand and appreciate why we're doing that. All right, any more questions? Any comments as we... Okay, so all right, thank you. All right, so we're trying to get a video which I want to close, but until we get that video up and running, still taking any comments. We want to wish you all the best during this time. I know that it is very difficult. Mr. Chambers, I don't know if that video would be able to upload. See if you can upload that video. We want to close with that video. But you know that during this time, it is very difficult to maneuver things. But I hope that you will understand and you will continue to seek to get online. I would have answered that question earlier, Carrie, and just getting online. When there will be grade 10, let me just repeat. We are not certain when grade 10 will come in, but we will definitely inform parents and students as soon as we decide. We will be looking at all the parameters, all the things that we need to cover before we decide to bring in any more classes. So we will inform you as soon as we decide. So as I was saying about the pandemic, do take care of yourself. do take care, do implement all the necessary precautions, and to make sure that your children is trying to get online. Even though we do printed materials is still not the most effective way of teaching and learning at this time, because even when you get the printed materials, you still need assistance at home. So we would love for students to try to get online. Yes, we know it's very difficult. Yes, we know the internet challenges. Yes, we know the um, devices challenges, but we still need to try as best as possible to see how best we can get them online. All right. Mr. Chambers, I don't know if you're able to just indicate to me if that video will be able to play. We want to play that video for my viewers.
They take my kindness for weakness.
All right, not hearing from Mr. Chambers, but I think he's trying to see if he can upload it. So, any more questions? I think basically that's what I want to leave with you today. We're trying to see if we can get a video to close the program. I know that StreamYard is very careful as it relates to copyright. All right, we're trying to get it up. Yes, so you can keep your comments, keep your questions coming as we seek to get that video. So we want to thank Mrs. Gladys Brown Ellis again. Well organized, well structured presentation. And what I like about her, she keep it real, you know, she just keep it real. Where she mentioned that just trying to, okay, YouTube is that's careful, not, okay, not StreamYard, okay, it is YouTube. So let me correct it, because you know, whatever is going live, we have to make sure that is a fact. So it is not StreamYard, but it is YouTube. So whatever content we put out, YouTube is very, you know, protective as it relates to copyright, and you know the legal ramification, copywriting and all that. So we are trying to see if this one will be able to play. So based on what was said, students, I hope you would have listened. So she would have gotten pregnant in high school, yes, but she did not allow that to stop her. And she went back to Evelyn Institute, get her subjects, only got two, moved into the JCF, became a police officer. She didn't stop there, got her bachelor's in English, didn't stop there, got her master's, didn't stop there, went to Norman Manley Law School and got her certification to become an attorney, and she was called to the bar. So she's earning money as a superintendent of police, and she's also earning as a lawyer. So you too will be able to overcome whatever odds. And that is why I brought her on today, because sometimes I hear from me, and sometimes I probably get tired of my story. I would have want to bring on other persons who would have you know, achieved some level of success and still achieving. And I hope that this will be some level of inspiration to the Kellett High School family, our children. We put this together just for you, for the time that we take out of our Sunday evenings. It's not because we want to be shown all over the world, but we want to put programs. We want to have content so that it will help you to evolve and to become your God-given potential. Seems like the video is not able to be uploaded, so I won't have you on for any longer. So I want to thank you. If there are no other questions, Mr. Chambers, no other comments, I want to thank my viewers for making the sacrifice, even though we started late, but you still tune in, and I hope that you would have received something to take you into the new week and into your career. I want to wish for you all the best. Remember, school starts tomorrow for grades 11, 12, and 13. So you could have chosen to be elsewhere, but you choose to tune in to your principal's hour with your principal. I want to thank my technical assistant, Mr. Kamar Chambers. I want to thank all my viewers. I want to thank my guests again. And let us do this all again next week, same time, during your principal's hour. Keep safe. Remember to practice all the COVID-19 protocol. So long until we meet again. Take care.